What it do, YouTube? It's your boy KTV. Today I got a reaction of this rapper named Freddie Gibbs. If you never heard of him, I recommend you listen to him. But yeah, he one of my favorite rappers out right now. This is a documentary about his life and how he got into rapping. Pretty short documentary, but hey, it's better something than nothing.
Catch the extended version of this documentary on my streaming service Nebula, brought to you through CuriosityStream for about $1.25 a month. Freddie Gibbs was born in 1982 in Gary, a small city in Indiana. In the 50s and 60s, Gary was a prosperous steel town with lots of jobs and opportunity, but in recent decades, it's lost more than 55% of its former population, suffering, like many American cities, from unemployment, decaying infrastructure, little to no funding for schools. All of this is to say, Freddie Gibbs grew up poor. His dad was a cop in Gary, one of the worst paying police departments in the entire country, and he was fired in the 90s, leaving their family financially unstable for a long time, which led to Freddie getting into crime as a teenager. After high school, Freddie got into a university a few hours from Gary on an athletic scholarship. During a now deleted interview from 10 years ago, he said that he wasn't interested in academics and he would spend all of his time not playing football, committing crimes. Anyway, he got kicked out of college and went right back to Gary to get into more trouble. Specifically, 2 serious criminal charges within 6 months. A judge gave him 2 choices. He could go to trial and face years in jail, or he could go to the army. Freddie chose boot camp for 6 months, but he was eventually kicked out of there too for smoking weed. Back in Gary, Freddie met a record producer named Fingerroll. According to Freddie, he was the only guy in all of Gary who had recording equipment at his house. So the first set of Freddie Gibbs projects were released 17 years ago when he was 22 years old. Today, the only place you can really find and listen to these mixtapes is on YouTube, on a fan channel called Freddie Gibbs Music. So I did just that, and I listened to all of his mixtapes and albums from Full Metal Jacket Volume 1 through ESGN, more than a dozen projects in total. And look, I've listened to a lot of early hip-hop projects.
I'm gonna be honest, I fuck with BMF heavy
Over the years running this channel. Kendrick's first mixtapes, JID's early work, whatever BS Travis Scott made in 2010, I've heard all of it. So I mean it when I say no one was as good at rapping when they were 22 as Freddie Gibbs. Freddie describes his early experience with rapping as therapeutic. He said, "I was going through some things in the neighborhood where I was beefing with some guys. Being in the studio was kind of therapeutic. It gave me the opportunity to get stuff off my chest." And barely 2 years later, Freddie was offered a record deal by an intern at Interscope. By the way, that intern is Freddie's manager to this day and has been for the last 15 years. Anyway, Freddie signed the deal immediately and moved to LA to work on his debut record. Suddenly, he had unlimited access to acclaimed producers like Just Blaze and The Alchemist and his own studio equipment. But then it all fell apart. The intern's boss left Interscope, and the label eventually decided not to proceed with Freddie's debut record. In fact, they dropped him as a client entirely. At this point, I think it's fair to say Freddie had a difficult choice to make. He could have gone back to Indiana, gotten back into his old ways. He could have given up on music entirely. It would have been easy for him to lose his passion and fade away. But Freddie Gibbs has never been one to take the easy way out. At first, he was angry. He didn't want to rap anymore, but he took some time, made a few mixtapes, moved around the country from LA to Atlanta to Indiana and back, and then it came, his first big break. The Miseducation of Freddie Gibbs, a mixtape themed around Lauryn Hill's legendary album, made up mostly from songs recorded during his short relationship with Interscope. Anyway, a year later, Freddie had enough buzz to be named a XXL freshman for 2010, alongside rappers like Wiz Khalifa, Big Sean.
I remember this, and I was only like 3. I was just looking at shit when I was younger. I ain't know nothing about it. Just looking.
J. Cole, and Nipsey Hussle. After a brief period signed to Young Jeezy's label, Freddie founded his own label, ESGN, and released his debut album of the same name in 2013. ESGN wasn't received very well by critics. One critic wrote that Freddie had, over time, become complacent with his place in the industry. He had a big enough fan base, they said, but it didn't really seem like he was interested in expanding it. They wrote, "It's the sound of a rapper more than happy enough to maintain his narrow lane after being burned by the industry. Someone who's lost the ambition to leave his comfort zone, at least for the time being." But Freddie Gibbs wasn't giving up. Released just 9 months after ESGN, Pinata would change Freddie's music, career, and life forever. Let's put it this way. Freddie Gibbs was doing well before he teamed up with Madlib to make Pinata, but his audience was limited. He was an extreme...
Such a great... Bro, when I tell y'all Pinata was a great album, I mean, it was a great album. I ain't gonna lie, from like 2014 all the way up until 2020, because you know that's when COVID hit, Freddie Gibbs was on a run.
Talented rapper from a small town in the Midwest, and you could easily hear that in his production. But Pinata, these beats were big budget. They were
Well, when it comes to projects, because I ain't gonna lie, when it comes from his projects from 2014, which like Pinata to Shadow of a Doubt, You Only Live Twice, Freddie, right, Bandana, and then Alfredo, which is still one a legend. Nigga, Alfredo got a motherfucking Grammy nomination. That's how good the album was. But man, let me stop. It sound like I'm dick riding.
timeless. They were metropolitan. Freddie had unlocked a whole new audience. Suddenly, hipsters in Brooklyn wanted to own Freddie's albums on vinyl. People were analyzing his music on Reddit. He had finally found a producer that could match his energy. And 6 years later, sure enough, Freddie Gibbs has been nominated for a Grammy.
Yep.
This is how he did it. I think the fundamental change in Freddie's music before 2014 and after 2014 was presentation. Like I said before, he's still the same talented rapper he has been for many years, but everything else was leveled up completely. Album covers, production, music videos, his presentation became more appealing to different demographics.
Shadow of a Doubt.
Slowly but surely, Freddie Gibbs was going to leave the underground and become a hip-hop staple. A lot of it, I think, is thanks to Madlib. Madlib doesn't work with many producers, but when he does, people usually stop and listen. And even though it would be another 5 years before Freddie worked with Madlib again, the projects following Pinata did great too. Shadow of a Doubt was a darker record with hard-hitting bass and groovy melodic flows from Freddie. My favorite tracks from that record are Rearview and Insecurities. In the words of
my favorite tracks from that project is Pronto, and I guess Pronto and Shadow of a Doubt, but this is a pretty dark record.
Fans and critics, Freddie was finally starting to leave Gary behind and use his music to search for something more, and it was going great. And then disaster struck. In the summer of 2016, Freddie was arrested in
which made no sense. When I tell you this case right here is the epiphany of ignorance, I mean it is the epiphany of ignorance. But let's continue. Let's let him tell the story.
France and charged by the Austrian government for drugging and raping a woman in Vienna the year before. After being held in Austria for 4 months and faced with 10 years in jail, his accuser admitted she never had sex with Freddie. He was cleared of all charges, and having proved himself innocent, he understandably wanted nothing more than to put the incident behind him. His first project upon
But he did speak on it in his track that he about to tell y'all about right now.
On returning home from Europe was You Only Live Twice. Releasing just 6 months after he got out of jail, You Only Live Twice is one of Freddie's most concise albums at just 30 minutes long, but it's also one of his most emotional. My favorite tracks are Homesick and 20 Karat Jesus.
My favorite tracks are Dear Maria, Crushed Glass, and yeah, I'm gonna say Homesick as well. Those are my favorite personal favorite songs off the record.
In the words of a critic from the 405 magazine, You Only Live Twice is a reflection of past mistakes, a declaration of dreams for his family's future, and a timestamp for the strenuous reality of an artist who nearly lost it all on his way to gaining everything. It ended up a dark, introspective project, one of Freddie's best by far. After releasing You Only Live Twice, Freddie almost never mentioned the sexual assault charges in public or in his music again. Just a year
I do not blame him. That's something you do not want to be remembered for.
later, Freddie was back with another hard-hitting project, a 25-minute album produced mostly by Kenny Beats. I think Freddie is best described as a looser and more trap-inspired project than his previous work, and it went great, reaching number 142 on the Billboard charts. I think, though, Freddie wanted to make another smash hit like Pinata, so he teamed up with Madlib again, this time on a project called Bandana. Bandana was an even bigger success than Pinata before it. It charted in something like 20 countries, peaking at number 21 in the US and number 10 on the hip-hop charts. Anyway, people really loved Bandana. Understandably, it's a beautiful record. It showed up on dozens of year-end lists from magazines and blogs, and that appreciation was amplified even more when people found out that Madlib had produced the entire record on an iPad. We can't go too in-depth here.
Okay, I didn't know that. I did not know that. He produced the whole record on a fucking iPad? I ain't gonna lie. That's some... I can't even talk. I don't even know what to say about that.
But it was clear in 2019 that Freddie had found a winning formula, and he wasn't going to give up on it. Just a year later, he did it again. In the words of Freddie for Complex magazine, once we did Fetty with Currency, I was like, man, if I could bring that same magic for a whole album myself, it's gonna go off. So together with The Alchemist, Freddie made Alfredo. And it just might be the quintessential Freddie Gibbs record. At just 10 tracks long, Alfredo leaves no room for filler.
Man,
it's also
what?
deeply personal for Freddie, probably his most personal album since You Only Live Twice. In Freddie's words, I had a lot of time to reflect while making this project. I stepped back because I got to a different kind of notoriety after making Bandana. The rush of people that were saying they didn't like my music at first, but now we're all on the bandwagon. It gave me time to really be like, do I even want to rap anymore? Rap to me had become so superficial. Today, Freddie is in an interesting place. Yeah, he's critically acclaimed. His music is charting. He was nominated for a Grammy this year. He's making amazing music, top shelf music videos. He's on Joe Rogan. People love him more than ever. People love him more than ever, especially for his thoughtful, well-spoken, funny persona. But he's still got a lot of room to grow. He's never had a big hit song. He doesn't sell tons of records. But it's like, who cares? People online compare Freddie to Kendrick. They're already arguing about whether or not he could be the greatest rapper alive, especially.
I ain't gonna lie, that's what make me so. I feel like that's what make me like really like Freddie Gibbs, cause he just like he's really nonchalant when it comes to what other people think about him. Cause even though he's still successful, he don't really give a damn about what the haters or even the people who say he doing good thinks. It's like, man, whatever.
While rappers like Kendrick, J. Cole, Kanye.
Cause at the end of the day, he's still gonna make music. And he's still gonna come through for his family. Cause I ain't gonna lie, that's who he really do it for. Cause he got children and whatnot himself. And still have a little beefs from here to there. But other than that, his family and it's really who he do it for, so.
Have all been quiet over the last few years. In the words of his longtime manager, the Grateful Dead didn't have a hit until the late 80s, and then they never did again. But they had a huge fan base that loved them because they were the realest artists around. That's how I've always seen Freddie's career, says Benjamin Lambert. The Dead might not always hit the right note, but they were always themselves and they took big risks. Freddie isn't afraid to take a risk, and we knew that if you always do great stuff, people will eventually notice. And people have certainly noticed. In addition to being nominated for a Grammy, which, by the way, he should have won, Freddie was recently cast as the lead role in an upcoming movie.
He really should have won that Grammy, to be honest.
About a rapper turned farmer called Down with the King, something he's been talking about doing for years. Plus, he's working hard on another record with Madlib, a third entry into their trilogy titled Montana. Fans are more excited than ever, and I think one thing's for certain. Sooner or later, people are going to start to realize Freddie.
I mean, like, when is he gonna release this Montana? He must be still working on it. Cause I ain't gonna lie, this video right here was made 4 years ago. So if he is working on this project with Madlib, I expect to see it sometime next year. Cause this is 2025. He done dropped Alfredo, Soul separately, which wasn't really produced by Madlib. His last year project, which honestly I still mess with to this day. Called I forgot what's his last year project called. I'm just looking it up right quick because I forgot. Let me see, Freddie. You Only Die Once. That's what his last year. I still mess with that project to this day.
He might just be one
Especially
of the greatest to ever do it. This has been Volksgeist. Thank you for watching. If you're a big fan of...
I'm gonna cut this video into
Freddie Gibbs, I recommend checking out the extended version of this video on Nebula. It's a much...
I'm gonna check out this other video as well because it's a little bit longer and I want this reaction to be a little bit longer, so... This video, who is this video by? I don't even know who the last video was by. Clout Cancun. Never heard of this guy, but he talking about Freddie too.
I can't stay away from you.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest, that's a legendary sample. I ain't got nothing to do. Let me sit down.
No, I can't stay away from.
Let me be honest, I might get copyrighted. You know, if I do, editing me, just chop it down a little bit. There we go.
After the war and the demise in Gary's neighborhoods, many of Gary's whites began to move to the suburbs, while blacks continued to move to Gary. It was becoming the blackest city in America.
Till I D-I-E. And yeah, you rap, but none of you niggas is rapping quite like me. It's hard for you to recite your life like me. They go in the booth and lay they verse, but niggas ain't leaving the mic on ice like me. It's G-I till I D-I-E. And yeah, you rap, but none of you niggas is rapping quite like me. It's hard for you to recite your life like me. They go in the booth and lay they verse, but niggas ain't leaving the mic on ice like me. Nigga, I'm living for the present, but I thank God for yesterday. Cause yesterday I didn't check out. Ho, check my resume. I pop shit, drop shit, summer to the winter, loaded clips and pistols with head triggers. I'm that nigga.
Okay. Chapter 1, The Rise.
Frederick Tipton, aka Freddie Gibbs, would be born in Gary, Indiana in June of 1982. Though Freddie is from Gary, he does claim Chicago, Illinois as being his home as well, due to Chicago being less than an hour away. Gary is perhaps most known for being the hometown of Michael Jackson and the Jackson family. Aside from this, Gary is also well known for housing one of the world's largest steel mills, but one of the unfortunate things that plagued the city is its violence. In 1994, when Freddie was around the age of 12, Gary was named the murder capital of the United States, according to the Chicago Tribune. At the time, Gary had roughly 119,000 people, and they had a record of 120 killings in 1993, translating into a murder rate of 91 per 100,000 residents. This was well above the homicide rate in Washington, D.C. Prior to 1993, Washington, D.C. led the nation in the most recent years. Even looking somewhat recently in 2019, the violent crime rate in Gary was about 406, which was 85% higher than the U.S. national average of 220 that year. But this hectic environment is what Freddie Gibbs would grow up in. A lot of people in Gary work hard to try and get out. It's a depressed city, a depressed economy. It's still my home. I still live there. I got family, friends there. I feel like me putting this street music out, it's going to shed some light on the bad parts, so maybe they can be fixed. Plus, it's no music scene in Gary. We don't even have our own radio station. Everything we got is up under Chicago. I gotta go and create the scene. Being the first dude to come out the city in the rap game is a lot of pressure. For one, people hear Gary, Indiana and think I'm some hick from the farm, but I'm from the bricks. This is the ghetto. This ain't no cornfield. Freddie grew up on the east side of Gary with a mother who worked at the post office and a father who was often between jobs. Many Freddie Gibbs fans are well aware that his dad was once a police officer, but recently Freddie revealed that his father, Warren Tipton, is a member of the legendary R&B and soul group, the Chi-Lites. There are some people who believe that he was a founding member, but this is not true due to him joining the group in 2018, which is nearly 50 years after their debut album. Warren has long been a musician, and Freddie has also told stories of Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 always beating his dad in talent shows around Gary, which is really hilarious. About his dad, Freddie would say, he was a singer and I guess he did what he had to do to support himself. In the 80s, when I was like 2 years old, he joined the police force. Anyway, it was some stuff, I don't know the specifics of it, but some scandal happened in 1991 that forced him to resign from the department. So throughout the years, he was always working super duper overtime or out of a job or looking for a job, just struggling for money. And I watched my mom struggle to take care of 3 kids plus my little cousin, and my dad, he knew a lot of the stuff that I was doing in the streets, but he didn't stop me from doing it. My dad was a cop, but he wasn't no angel, know what I mean? A lot of cops in Gary ain't, especially now for one of the lowest salaries in the country, so you can imagine the corruption that goes on. Freddie would also elaborate on what it was like for him to go to school and see kids with fresh clothes, but he could not have the same due to the bills being tight around the house. This resulted in him taking it upon himself to be independent and get things that he desired. This would be the illegal way though, which has its fair share of consequences that eventually caught up with Freddie. While his father was a musician, Freddie never really desired to become one himself. Sports was more of his calling at the time, and it would be football that Freddie excelled in. There are reports that Freddie got a scholarship to play football at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, but in an interview he said that he walked on. Nonetheless, Freddie was pretty aimless in this chapter of his life and still had one foot on the field and one foot in the streets. This would lead him to eventually getting kicked out and land back on the streets of Gary. Being back in this environment and living the lifestyle that Freddie was living led him to getting arrested multiple times. In an interview, he said that he caught a theft charge around the same time his first gun charge was still pending. His lawyer happened to know an Army recruiter and told the judge about his connections. The judge then granted Freddie something that's known as pretrial diversion. This basically is an alternative to prosecution that's meant to circumvent the standard criminal justice process by entering a program that involves supervision and other services administered by the U.S. Probation Service. For Freddie, instead of being locked up, he would have to complete an Army boot camp. So I went to the boot camp and it was one of the worst and most grueling experiences I ever went through, but I finished it near the top of the class. But that was not what I wanted for my life. No disrespect to anyone who does that for their career, but I didn't believe in all the stuff that the military was about, nor did I believe in what the administration was doing at the time. I did not want to be a part of that George Bush military, and so I did what I did, didn't take the Army stuff seriously. I still was on my street stuff and whatnot, smoking weed, and got kicked out. Dishonorable discharge. Now back again on the streets of Gary, Indiana, Freddie would have to do what it took to survive. However, things would change for him when he met a producer who goes by the name of Finger Roll. Freddie refers to Finger Roll as one of Gary's most successful producers at the time. He also says that he was one of the only people that had a studio in the area. Like I previously said, Freddie Gibbs did not have any intentions of doing music, but after feeling like he could make better music than the people that were in the studio, he decided to give it a try. Trying to make it out of Gary seemed hard enough.
Boy, I'm glad he went bald. Look how far back his hairline is. And mind you, this is like his, early 20s, this photo? Damn. Damn.
But to be a rapper and make it out of Gary proved to be even harder. There was no big rap scene, no rap radio stations, no record labels, etc. Freddie had to really get it out the mud, and it all started with his self-released first full-length project called Full Metal Jacket. My favorite song from this tape has to be Woo. From the beginning, you can
If y'all don't know, Full Metal Jacket is a bullet.
Definitely tell that Freddie had promise.
Freddie, have you got your deal? Freddie, have you got your first check? Treat my business like the motherfucking alphabet. Like A, B, C your way out. Cause I don't think you really want them shots to ring out.
Freddie would follow this up with the sequel the same year. Things began to change for him when Ben Lambert, aka Lambo, would hear his early material. Lambo would be interning at Interscope Records at the time. His boss told him that if he could find a rapper to sign, then his internship could turn into a full-time job. With the pressure on, Lambo scoured the internet and heard a guy rapping over an Allen Iverson beat. Lambo was impressed by Freddie Gibbs, which led to him being flown out to California. For 6 months, Freddie would be between Los Angeles, New York, and Gary. He would be given a $50,000 advance, which he used to settle in LA to work on his debut album. His budget would be $250,000, which allowed him to work with producers such as Just Blaze and Polo the Don. While some people thought highly of his music, Freddie Gibbs would run into problems with label executives who doubted their ability to promote a rapper from Gary, Indiana. You also gotta think that this is 2005, so Interscope was popping with 50.
It was. Because when you think about it, they would have overlooked him because they already had other rappers who were popping at the time. Like, for instance, 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, Eminem. Because if I'm not mistaken, he was also signed to Interscope as well as Aftermath. So yeah, they had a pretty decent rap scene already.
Sent in G-Unit from the East Coast. But Lambo would be interning for two men, and one of these men would go by the name of 3H. 3H would leave Interscope, and in 2007, Freddie would be dropped from the label. However, Lambo did become Freddie's manager down the line. But once again, Freddie would have to return to Gary after California Dreamin'. Now Freddie was back on the harsh streets of his hometown when his pregnant girlfriend at the time decided to move to Atlanta, Georgia. Freddie would go along in hopes of there being a change in fortunes, but darkness continued to follow him. His girlfriend would have a miscarriage, his car got stolen, his grandmother passed away, and drugs really started to take a toll on him. He started popping Oxycontin for his headaches while sprinkling pills on his weed. From here, he was done with rapping and was just trying to hustle to start a business. This is when an old friend came calling, and this friend would be someone by the name of Josh the Goon. He was a producer and engineer that Freddie knew from his time in LA. Josh would constantly call Freddie, but Freddie did not pick up the phone. Finally, Freddie returned his calls and accepted a plane ticket back to LA, where he would crash on couches for months while being uncertain of his future in rap. Big rest in peace to Josh the Goon, who passed away in 2017. Without him reaching out to Freddie, who knows how different Freddie's life could have been. Returning to LA must have been hard for Freddie though, due to how things with Interscope Records ended up, but now Freddie was reunited with Lambo, who tried to shop new deals for Freddie. All of this happened around 2008, and from 2005 to 2007, Freddie released multiple mixtapes consisting of the Big Business series, Gangsta Island series, Live from Gary, Indiana series, and This Is My Hustle. In early 2009, Freddie would release The Miseducation of Freddie Gibbs, which pays homage to Lauryn Hill's debut album. Later on in the year, Freddie Gibbs would release Midwest Gangsta Box Frame Cadillac Music, which is regarded as Freddie's breakthrough project. Box Frame Cadillac, in my opinion, is the hardest track on the project.
In a 4-5 in my lap, I'm in that box frame Cadillac, swerving off the exit ramp.
At the very end of 2009, Freddie would release The Label's Trying to Kill Me, the best of Freddie Gibbs, which was a compilation of material that he recorded.
I'm sorry, this album cover is just hilarious to me.
While he was on Interscope, Freddie's music started to gain buzz, but another thing he had to face was the direction of rap changing. The era of gangster rap was pretty much dead by 2010. Many people point to Kanye West beating 50 Cent in 2007 as being the end of this era. After this came the likes of your Drakes, Kid Cudis, etc. Freddie did not make this type of music, and record companies were focusing on acts that already had a big fan base. Sure, Freddie had a fan base, but it was really underground and wasn't quite as big as new acts that were coming out at the time. The notion going around of Freddie Gibbs was that if he never became a superstar, he could still have regional success. With the buzz Freddie already had, he kept grinding and grinding. This would finally get recognized in 2010 when Freddie landed a spot on the annual XXL freshman class cover. For those who don't know what this is, essentially XXL picks a number of artists that they predict will be the future. Freddie's class is absolutely stacked with the likes of
what? They got Cole, Nip, who else? Wiz, J-Rock, who else on here? Big Sean. I don't even see Big Sean. Where Big Sean at? Is that? I'm gonna be honest. I do not see Big Sean. Who else is on here? His career went nowhere. I'm gonna tell you right now. His career went nowhere. I feel like that's wrong to say, but it's so true. Let me resume.
J. Cole, Nipsey Hussle, Wiz Khalifa, Big Sean, J-Rock, and more. Freddie Gibbs was definitely in good company, and many people on this list would prove XXL in predicting that they would leave their mark in music. When talking about XXL, Freddie said that when you look at the cover, he's the rawest, dirtiest, uncut person on the cover. To give examples, he describes J. Cole as being a safe bet for labels. Freddie said that although Nipsey was a gangster, he had a look to him that you cannot deny. He also describes Wiz Khalifa as an all-American good kid with a smile that can light up the room. When speaking about himself, Freddie said that he was none of this and had to find his niche in the game. Even XXL labeled him as the most slept on out of the entire class. Most hood went to J-Rock, most charismatic went to Wiz Khalifa, most well-rounded went to J. Cole, and more. After the release of the XXL list, Freddie would drop both Straight Killer and Straight Killer No Filler in 2010. 2011 would end up being a high output year for Freddie, with him releasing 7 projects. This consisted of a preview of a future project between Madlib and Freddie, the Straight Slammin' trilogy, Effin' with Fred, and Lord Giveth, Lord Taketh. My favorite project Freddie released this year is Cold Day in Hell though. My favorite track from this has to be Banned.
On that California dope. One night wasn't enough, so dope is came back for another dose.
But speaking of 2011, Freddie made a big move in his career, signing with CTE, or Corporate Thugs Entertainment, which is Young Jeezy's record label. Freddie had this to say about the signing: "I got a great respect for him and what he do, and the respect is mutual. Musically, I think we can bring this gangsta rap stuff back cause it's lacking." The first project Freddie released under the label would be Lord Giveth, Lord Taketh. The following year, in 2012, Freddie dropped the mixtape Babyface Killer. Now this mixtape right here has a song that almost all of the viewers watching this know, and that song is Still Living, which appeared on GTA 5.
Still living like a dope dealer, finger on the trigger, I ain't taking shit.
We definitely all.
And then he made that other one song for Grand Theft Auto. What's it called? Smoking and Riding. That shit go hard too.
Blasted this song while on our way to a mission. But speaking of GTA 5, Freddie has multiple songs that appear on the soundtrack. This is actually how a lot of people found out who Freddie Gibbs was.
I'm gonna be honest, this is literally how I found Freddie Gibbs. It was Grand Theft Auto 5. Cause I ain't gonna lie, he got some bangers on there. They even took one of his songs from Bandana and put it on there.
And this is by no surprise, because GTA 5 is one of the most popular video games of all time, so Freddie's music was being exposed to millions of people. But though Freddie would join CTE in 2011, he would be out the door by late 2012. It was a number of things at the end of the day. It was a good decision for myself and my family. It was nothing against him. It was just a move that I had to make personally and business-wise. I'm going to tell you guys that honestly there are 2 sides to every single story, and maybe even more. From my understanding, after doing a lot of research, it seems like Freddie just wanted to move on and turn his career in a different direction. On the flip side, Jeezy wanted to go another way as well. Young Jeezy's side is that he questioned Freddie's work ethic. Allegedly, Freddie Gibbs did not go to studio sessions. According to Jeezy, Freddie messed up his relationship with Eminem due to a track that they all did, ending up leaking. There is some more to the story, but these are some of the things that may have contributed to the split.
The Frame. Oh, I think I know what he's talking about.
After the fallout with CTE, Freddie would start his own label, ESGN. This stands for Evil Seeds Grow Naturally. In 2013, Freddie released his debut album of the same name. This would be 9 years after his first project. After releasing his debut album, Freddie went on tour with perhaps one of, if not the greatest and biggest underground artist of all time, which is Tech 9. Freddie was a part of the Independent Grind Tour in 2014. Touring around the country with an independent artist as big as Tech 9 helped Freddie build his own fan base. My dad took me to the Omaha stop of the Independent Grind Tour, where I saw Tech 9 and Freddie Gibbs perform. It was for my 13th birthday, and Freddie impressed me. Of course, I heard his music on GTA, but this is when I finally put a face to the voice. A month before going on this tour, Freddie would release his collab project with Madlib called Pinata in March of 2014. This project was originally titled Cocaine Pinata and had been teased for a couple of years. Pinata is phenomenal from top to bottom. Madlib's production and Freddie rapping over it is the perfect combo, and I think that there's no better example of this than the track Thuggin'.
Liquor got me lurking where you live at in the nighttime. 5950 to the left, but I'm in my right mind. Thug.
How Madlib and Freddie came together to create Pinata was through a bizarre dream. Freddie revealed this in an interview with Hip Hop DX in 2013. As for how Freddie met Madlib, it would be through his manager Lambo. Lambo used to work for Stone's Throw Records, which Madlib was associated with. Madlib had heard Cold Day in Hell by Freddie, and Lambo told Madlib that he wanted Freddie to do something different over his style of beats. The two working together wasn't really planned out, and they never recorded together. Freddie would listen to the beats that Madlib had and recorded vocals on his own. Freddie also describes him being in two different places when he recorded for this album. According to him, he was still in the streets when he first started working on the album back in 2011. The full recording of the album lasted 3 years. When asked if he was still in the streets when he was signed to Young Jeezy, he would say that he was still in the streets. He followed this up by saying that Young Jeezy never gave him any money, but out of respect, he didn't take any because he wanted to earn his. Now Freddie seemed to be doing alright for himself after leaving the label and steadily building his fan base. Little did he know that not only his career, but his life would take a dark turn soon. In 2015, Freddie dropped Shadow of a Doubt in a song that I really messed.
This, like I said, bro, this is one of my favorite albums right here. This and You Only Live Twice. Well, no, I can't lie. This track right here, You Only Live Twice, Bandana, and then I have to say Alfredo. My 4 favorite tracks from him.
Off of this album is Effin' Up the Count. It's one of my favorite songs from Freddie. Another one of my favorite songs has to be Cocaine Parties in LA, which was released in 2016.
Cocaine parties in LA. I'm juggling at some cocaine parties in LA, yeah. Cocaine.
The story behind this song is really interesting. Many people already know that Kanye and Kendrick rapped over the beat on Kanye's 2016 album, The Life of Pablo, for the song No More Parties in LA. Freddie Gibbs claims that he was given the beat first, but in reality, Madlib gave a bunch of beats to Kanye and Freddie. Kanye happened to release the song first, and after releasing it, Freddie would drop his version of it, which fans also loved. But 2016 would end up being one of the worst years in Freddie's life. While performing overseas in France, he would be arrested and accused of sexual abuse stemming from an incident alleged to have taken place in Austria 11 months earlier in July of 2015. It was alleged that after performing, Freddie Gibbs and his friends met 2 women backstage.
When I tell you this is still one of the most ignorantest cases I've ever heard, is still one of the most ignorantest cases I've ever heard.
After the show and brought them to hang out in one of their rooms at his hotel. From here, the story is wild. The morning after the show, the women reported to police that an unnamed friend in Freddie's entourage had sexually abused them. 10 months later, in May of 2016, one of the girls told authorities that she remembered Freddie had sex with her the night of the incident and then additionally accused him of sexual abuse. The Austrian newspaper reported that Freddie and his friend allegedly took advantage of the 2 women after the drinks were possibly spiked backstage by someone at the show. After 2 weeks in jail, Freddie was bailed out for 50,000 euros, which back then was roughly $56,000. He was told that he could not go anywhere and his passport was confiscated. In July of 2016, Freddie voluntarily withdrew his appeal so he could be extradited to Austria to face trial. In August of that year, Freddie would be officially charged with sexual abuse of a defenseless or psychologically impaired person and face the maximum sentence of up to 10 years in prison. He was released from prison 2 days later after posting bail and paying another 50,000 euros, but he was again barred from leaving the country. In September of 2016, after being in jail for 37 days and having another 90 days stuck in 2 foreign countries in a 4-hour trial, the Vienna Regional Court acquitted Freddie of all charges. The women essentially lied with video evidence, DNA evidence, witnesses, and more, proving that Freddie was ultimately innocent. According to Freddie, one of the girls had a dream that she had sex with Freddie. This so-called dream that she had nearly sent Freddie away for a long time.
Like I said, bro, one of the most ignorantest cases I've ever heard.
People would think that growing up on the tough streets of Gary, Indiana would be one of the toughest situations that Freddie had to get out of, but when Freddie talked about his time in jail overseas, it's not good. Freddie Gibbs said that the guards would flash their flashlights at him while he was sleeping early in the morning and told him to rap. Guards even told him to rap in order to get food. They put him in cell blocks with people with swastikas and people who really did the crimes that he was accused of. Even after being found innocent, the case deeply affected Freddie to the point that he contemplated if he still wanted to do music. In his eyes, it was him being a rapper that got him into all of this mess. Months after being released, Freddie dropped You Only Live Twice, and on this album, Freddie talks a lot about his situation overseas. Freddie talks about this on the track Crushed Glass.
I just be the rape case, groupie bitch I never fuck. Tried to give me 10 for some pussy that I never touched.
After the release of You Only Live Twice, Freddie dropped an album titled Freddie and a collab project with rapper Currency and producer The Alchemist in 2018 called Freddie. 2019, in my opinion, is when Freddie really started to get his shine in the game when he teamed back up with Madlib for Bandana. In an interview with Billboard in 2019, it was revealed that Freddie wrote 80% of the album while he was locked up. He didn't have any way to play back the beats that Madlib gave him, so he had to go off of his memory. Madlib did not even think that him and Freddie would make another album, but once Freddie's charges were dropped, they completed Bandana ASAP. The big difference from Bandana and other projects that Freddie had was that Freddie was now with RCA Records. It was said that it made sense business-wise for Freddie Gibbs to now be with a major label, and it did not take him much convincing. There were some fans who did not like this, but Freddie Gibbs said F them because he has kids to feed. However, this did not turn out to be a long deal because Freddie would ultimately leave the label for Warner Records in 2020. In 2021, Freddie Gibbs took to Twitter to talk about the situation, stating that after he made Bandana, the person that signed him to RCA ghosted him for a year plus. Before signing with Warner, Freddie and The Alchemist would drop a collab album of their own with Alfredo. This would be a long time coming because originally the two were supposed to drop a project together called The Devil's Palace in 2010, but that never happened. They did work with each other on Freddie, but this would be the first collab project between just them. Alfredo was made pretty quickly, and unlike how Pinata was made, the two made the album together. It was as simple as Freddie picking beats that he liked and rapping over them. The intro track 1985 is one of my favorite tracks from the project.
It's beaming up the Scotty in my crack lobby, I can smell the cane burning. Michael Jordan 1985, bitch I traveled with a cocaine.
I ain't gonna lie, the thing that surprised me the most this year is when I found out that The Alchemist actually raps, cause he dropped another project after Alfredo 2 with Hit Boy called let me see if I could pull it up right quick. Goldfish, that's what the project is called. Yep, he dropped another project. Did he just drop another one? Oh my god, bro. How many kids he got? Dog done dropped about, let me see, 1, 2, Dog done dropped 6 projects this year, bro. He must just had a child or something.
Alfredo was released to widespread acclaim, and the project ended up being nominated for Best Rap Album at the 2021 Grammy Awards. This might be slightly controversial, but
I ain't gonna lie. I love Nas, but I'm not gonna say that because I love Nas just as much as I love Freddie Gibbs. Cause I ain't gonna lie, he was on a run with his King's Disease, series that he started back in 2020. So I'm not gonna say nothing about it.
I think Freddie should have won. Do not get me wrong, I think Nas getting a Grammy was long overdue, but ain't no way King's Disease was better than Alfredo. Like I said,
for me that's argumentative because they're both good projects, but it's just an argumentative subject that I have to talk to with somebody else about. I can't do it back and forth with myself.
that's just my opinion, but I think that Alfredo is a better album. I get why they gave it to Nas, but it is what it is. 2020 is also when the problems between Freddie Gibbs and DJ Academic
and this fat motherfucker right here. Y'all know he he pretty much ruined his career. Yeah, DJ Academics. I call him Fat. I can't even say it properly. I call him Fat Academics, not academics. Fat. He fat as fuck.
Started. The two first started feuding over the Gunna Crime Stopper situation, but it got way worse when Freddie Gibbs called Young Jeezy musically irrelevant. DJ Academics would respond questioning Freddie's own relevance. I remember when this happened, and I believe by this time Freddie was banned from Instagram. If you were on Freddie's Instagram back in the day, he was posting the craziest but funniest stuff ever, I swear. But the two would go back and forth on social media and have problems with each other even to this day. Can't forget to mention that Freddie made an appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience in 2021 where he went viral for saying that he once shot a crackhead 9 times with a Tech 9. That clip is just bizarre. It's just crazy clip. As far as music that year, Freddie did not really release much, but the next year in 2022, his most successful and recent album, Soul Separately, would release. The album peaked at number 11 on the Billboard 200 charts. This is a concept album based around a fictional resort and casino. The album's title comes from a line in a song called Education that was on Bandana. After this album though, things would go downhill for Freddie, mainly due to two events. One of them is Freddie's issues with Benny the Butcher. The two are one.
When I tell you this feud surprised me, I mean it surprised me. I did not see these two beefing, but they still are to this day.
It's friendly, but things would get sour when Freddie tweeted out some stuff that many people said was aimed at Benny the Butcher. It should be noted that at this time, Benny the Butcher recently got shot in the leg during an attempted robbery in 2020. There were talks of Benny and Freddie releasing a collab album together, which I'm sure would have been great, but these talks...
I mean, I would love to see it, but it's probably not gonna happen. I would love to see a collab album between Benny the Butcher and Freddie Gibbs, but honestly, I don't think it's gonna happen. This feud messed up his relationship between hold on, I'll be right back. Where was I? Yeah, where was I? I'm sorry. What was I saying? But yeah, this feud right here will go on to mess up his relationship between Conway the Machine and his younger brother Westside Gunn, because those two are related to Benny Butcher. They are cousins. Well, Conway the Machine and Westside Gunn are brothers, but they're cousins to Benny Butcher. So that would go on to mess up their relationship with Freddie. Plus, I don't know if I'm the only one, but don't these two kind of look the same? I mean, like, he got hair, he don't, but just a little bit. That's what y'all answer in the comments.
Stalled.
There we go.
These problems would eventually lead to Freddie Gibbs getting beat up while he was in Buffalo, New York, which is Benny's hometown.
Yep.
Freddie Gibbs was in town to perform, and I will say, despite the damage that was done to him, he still performed that night. People respected him for this, but his image still took a hit. Perhaps the biggest thing that happened to him, which made him look crazy, was his relationship with adult star Fit Mommy. From the jump, people questioned their relationship and why Freddie was messing with her, but things would go all the way left when Fit Mommy said that she was pregnant and basically Freddie ghosted her. This is when Academics comes back into the fold, even though after their problems started, he never truly went away. The Fit Mommy's Freddie Gibbs incident is when DJ Academics turned the beef up to 1,000 and would not let Freddie off of the hook. He went as far as to call Fit Mommy on stream, where she would further expose Freddie. This was a terrible look for him and also for her. It's really crazy how Freddie had worked for years to be in the position that he was in 2021 to have things go sour not that long after. The one thing that Freddie does need to do is take accountability for his faults in the situations between Fit Mommy, Academics, and Benny. In the future, I hope that he just focuses on the music and not get wrapped up in the negativity. While in recent years, Freddie's reputation and image have taken damage, I don't think that should fully take away from everything that Freddie had to do to get on. Being a black man from Gary, Indiana, trying to make it in the music business, selling drugs to get by, then going to college to play football, but fumbling that opportunity. Catch a case, then instead of going to prison, you go to military boot camp. Get dishonorably discharged and return back home, where you get the opportunity to sign to Interscope Records. That deal goes sour, so now you're back on the streets again. Now you're thinking about quitting due to all of these unfortunate events happening in your life, and you get a phone call which saves your career. You slowly start building up a buzz, and right when you're about to take off, you get falsely accused of crimes that you never committed in another country. Now you're facing 10 years being locked up, but before this, you're getting treated very poorly. You finally beat this and consider quitting music again, but you persevere once again and finally start getting the recognition that you deserve. This is what Freddie had to go through, and many people who were exposed to Freddie these past couple of years don't know this. It's unfortunate that the Fit Mommy, Academics, and Benny the Butcher situation left a bad.
I ain't gonna lie, only situation I felt bad for him about was the Benny Butcher situation, because DJ Academics is a dickhead, and I don't really know that much about the Fit Mommy situation other than what he explained, but I feel like if it's one relationship he should try to fix, it's between Benny the Butcher. But I don't know if it's gonna be soon, because I don't know if y'all seen, but Benny the Butcher linked up with one of his baby mamas last year, and yeah. So I hope he do resolve the situation, but probably won't be as soon as somebody like me hopes. But yeah, cause yeah, he mentioned that whole situation on I forgot what song it was on Alfredo too, but I know he mentioned it, so. That's one thing he ain't never gonna forget. Most definitely. Well, we at the end of the video.
Impression on people of Freddie. Like I said.
Yeah, it's pretty much the end of the video. But yeah, if it's any relationship, I hope that he tries to resolve. I really hope it's that Benny Butcher feud that he has. Cause fuck Academics. I personally don't like Academics or care for him. But yeah, fuck Academics, and I really hope that him and Benny the Butcher could come to a neutral ground where they could at least try to become friends again, because I would really love to see a project between those two. But anyway, if y'all do enjoy, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's been your boy KTV. This video is a little bit longer than what I wanted it to be, but anyway, I'm out of here. Deuces.